As the closest thing to a leader that the Justice League has, you'd imagine that nobody on the team tries to mess with Superman. Although this is an entirely logical thought, it's also one that's entirely wrong, as it seems that the Man of Steel's incredible powers and authoritative position only encourages people to mess with him more. And perhaps more worryingly, it also seems to cause many League members to think he never needs any help whatsoever, leading to a whole bunch of scenarios that could have easily been sorted with about a thimble of effort on the parts of heroes like Cyborg or Batman. Naturally, this results in all sorts of terrible things happening to Clark, and worse yet, he doesn't ever seem to resent anyone for it, even when the League do things like let Lex Luthor join the team, which must be worse than kryptonite under the nails for the unfortunate Man of Steel. Between brain bombs, accidental adult entertainment, and family disputes, the Justice League could probably do with a group therapy session or two, just to talk out why they sabotaged their golden boy so damn much. I'm Zoe from What Culture, and here are 10 times the Justice League ruined Superman's life. Number 10. Not explaining how his powers work. When Superman discovers he can temporarily lose his powers after discharging a powerful solar flare, the Justice League decide to do the natural thing, and to totally mess with Clark while he's in a more vulnerable human form. Part of this includes taking him to a bar, where he gets promptly wasted, since his weaker human form has absolutely no tolerance built up against alcohol. After this, they get him some fries, and send him off to bed in his apartment. While none of this sounds dangerous, it has to be kept in mind that the Man of Steel still tries to save the day the next morning, and almost dies as a result. Though none of the League would have wanted their night out to equal Clark's death, it's surprising that nobody thought the hungover Superman would likely forget he'd lost his powers in the first place, as they could have prevented him from almost dying by literally letting him sleep at any of their houses, where they could have kept an eye on him. It's all done in good fun, sure, but you'd think someone would leave the Man of Steel at least a pamphlet on hangovers or something, or at least keep an eye on Metropolis so a semi-powered Supes wouldn't end up in a fight he can't win. Number 9. Letting a member plant kryptonite in his brain. While it was largely overshadowed by the introduction of the crime syndicate, the subplot of Atomica placing a piece of kryptonite in Superman's brain, unbeknownst to the rest of the Justice League, is a particularly telling story in terms of how lax the League can be with the safety of their heaviest hitter. Firstly, and most crucially, said kryptonite is taken from Batman's personal collection, suggesting that the Justice League doesn't have anything guarding the substance they keep around that could kill their red and blue pal. Not only does that seem like a bad move on a friendship level, but it's also tactically terrible, as it means that the heroes keep the thing that could kill their most powerful member both accessible and around him at all times. Secondly, Atomica placed the sliver of kryptonite into Superman's head a while before this story takes place, meaning that during this time nobody thought to give Supes a little checkup, despite the fact that he must have been having blinding headaches the whole time. A Justice League membership doesn't come with full healthcare, it would appear. Number 8. Letting him have a terrible relationship with his son. Given Connor Kent's parents are technically Superman and Lex Luthor, as he was cloned from their DNA, he was never going to have a particularly easy life. But regardless of whether you want to consider Connor Superman's clone, his temporary replacement, or his son, there's one thing that remains true. Clark is pretty terrible to him. Despite knowing that his clone is likely incredibly messed up from literally everything that's gone on in his short life, he immediately sends the edgy teen off into the world, seemingly either oblivious or uncaring of the fact that the new Kent has a target painted on his back forever. Crucially, it takes Supes 6 whole years to actually tell Connor he considers him family, and to give Superboy a Kryptonian name, which is a very, very long time to leave that unsaid, all things considered. With the Justice League so often discussing their various wards, kids, and sidekicks, you'd think someone would give the Man of Steel a memo about being there for your brood, even if they are a strange clone that your nemesis made when they briefly thought you were dead. Number 7. Letting Lex Luthor take his name. Generally, when someone takes over a superhero mantle like Batman or Spider-Man, they do so because they're either very close to said former superhero, or because they have the same powers. And yet, somehow, Action Comics 957 sees Lex take over the Superman title, despite having no superpowers, and spending the majority of his life being the determined rival of Clark Kent. Despite Lex's claim to being the new Superman being seemingly broadcast all over the world, the Justice League are notably absent, despite the fact that it should be the biggest insult in the world to them that he is wearing the outfit of their beloved dead friend. Instead, it's left up to an alternate universe Superman to show Lex the error of his ways, making things significantly more complicated than if, say, Batman had just rocked up and told him to stop it. Number 6. Letting Batman date Lois Lane. To get this out of the way quickly, there's nothing directly wrong with Batman dating Lois Lane. In a world where Lois Lane wasn't the long-term partner of the Man of Steel, nobody would bat an eyelid at the pair being together. In fact, it'd maybe even be kind of sweet. However, Batman dating Lois Lane after him and Superman get amnesia, or otherwise after Superman and Lois have a terrible breakup, is another thing entirely. And yet these are the exact setups of Batman Superman 16 and the animated World's Finest series. All of this isn't even counting the Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane series, where the reporter literally makes out with every member of the Justice League. But that series is also the most immoral thing in the world, so maybe those super smooches don't count. The amnesia thing is almost understandable, as Batman literally doesn't remember that he's flirting with his best bud's romantic other, just as Superman has a moment or two with Catwoman. But given the Justice League should know what's up, it seems weird that nobody thinks to give them a quick text letting them know. Too busy with important things like saving the world, we guess. Number 5. Trying to kill him. As DC's New 52 event rebooted the entire universe, it makes sense that the Justice League would have to be reunited once more. What doesn't make sense, however, is that the Flash, Green Lantern, and Batman would decide to try and wail on the Man of Steel right up until they realize there's no way they can take him down. It's even weirder because Superman repeatedly says things that make it clear he thinks they're part of the parademon forces he's been fighting off. And yet our noble heroes decide to try and beat him up just a little bit more before actually explaining that they aren't the bad guys. While having everyone fight is a particularly interesting way to begin this run of the Justice League, it does also come with the solid implication that they're all just a swing and a miss away from beating each other up once more. Number 4. Letting him kill the Joker. Although it is in an alternate universe, it's worth addressing that, of all the various questionable things that the Justice League has put their main man through over the years, letting him kill the Joker in Injustice is perhaps the most damaging. Admittedly, the League do have a task on their hands when it comes to stopping Supes, as he only goes for Joker after the clown's responsible for a plan that results in him murdering his own wife and child. But it's clear from the offset that letting him kill the Jester won't help him, or fix what's happened, and is sure to only result in the Man of Steel going to worse and worse extremes in order to try and make up for what he's done. This in mind, the fact that the Justice League's entire plan is to have Batman and the Joker hang out in a building that Superman can easily break into seems more than a little lackluster on their part, as said plan puts practically no barriers between Superman and the Joker, which is wild when you remember that pretty much every hero on the team has some kind of secret base they could have hidden in. Which is wild when you remember that pretty much every hero on the roster has some kind of secret lair that he could have been hidden in. Number 3. Letting his secret identity be leaked. While Superman has had his secret identity revealed more than he's had apple pies, these tend to vary quite intensely in frequency. Of these, the reveal in the 2011 Superman 42 is perhaps the most dramatic, because it's also the most needless. After a villain with the mysterious name of Hoarder Root threatens to reveal Superman's secret identity, Lois Lane instead decides to beat them to it, so that the mysterious entity can't blackmail the Man of Steel with it. This is all well and fine, but it raises one crucial question. Where are the Justice League? After stopping countless other plots to find out the secret identities of the team, it seems kind of convenient that the one time their most important member is in peril, everyone's suddenly got chores to do and can't come help. While this might sound petty, it has to be remembered that Martian Manhunter could turn into Superman to convince people he isn't Clark Kent, Cyborg could have hacked into the feed that showed Supes to the public, and Batman, well, Batman can do just about anything, so he has the least of an excuse. Number 2. Letting him make a sex tape. Perhaps one of the most infamous moments of Superman's comic career has to be that of Action Comics 593, which would see Superman be mind-controlled into making some adult entertainment with Mr. Miracle's wife, Big Barda. Now, while it doesn't seem likely that the Justice League ever sat down and had a chat about whether they'd all be okay with being in a porno, it's safe to say that they all knew the Man of Steel is not the kind to bone down for others viewing entertainment. While you could say, well, they clearly didn't know the film was being made, you have to remember that it's been established several times that Batman is constantly keeping surveillance on Superman, which means that A, he would have definitely known what was up, and B, he definitely just left everyone to it so he could see what would happen. In short, it very much seems that the Justice League were having a viewing party for their friend's first adult film, instead of helping to stop it, which maybe doesn't make for the best team dynamic ever. Number 1. Letting Lex Luthor onto the Justice League. Having a nemesis is, on the whole, kind of a big deal, as it takes a villain from being merely a superhero's enemy to being their one true rival, or at least their main opposition. As such, you generally want said person as far away from your life as possible, unless you are punching them directly in the face. This means that the Justice League's decision to let Lex Luthor, Superman's long-term rival, onto their team is a little cruel to the Man of Steel at best. Though Superman does eventually agree to let Luthor join, it's only after having his arm twisted by Wonder Woman and Batman, And even then, it's readily apparent that he's not exactly stoked to be working with the man who's tried to kill him roughly 3 million times. Lex would spend 4 glorious years proving Superman wrong about distrusting him, and then would pretty much immediately turn evil in Justice League No Justice, likely leading to the Man of Steel feeling more than a little smug about being proven right all along. And that's our list. Did we miss anything off it? Let us know down in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I've been Zoe from World Culture, and thanks for watching.